Welcome to Innovator Cafe, the entrepreneur go-to, with your host, attorney Dave Stevens. Through each episode, Dave and his guests provide resources and assurances to build a company growth roadmap. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the website stevenslawgroup.com. Now here's the host of Innovator Cafe, Dave Stevens.
Hey, and welcome back to Innovator Cafe. Today, I'm going solo, and we're going to talk about trade secrets. Now, this is all going to be available on innovatorcafe.com, and I encourage you to go to Innovator Cafe, see this and all of my other podcasts, but most importantly, give me your feedback. Without an audience, especially in these individual lectures, I don't get feedback, but I'd love to hear your feedback. And if there's a subject that you would like to talk about in law, intellectual property, anything that's important to you, let me know, and I'll put together, programs. I'm looking for feedback, and I want to talk about what you want to hear about. So today is about trade secrets. Now, the focus is for entrepreneurs and tech leaders. Now, big company, small company, you might have a legal department, you might not. My focus is to teach the non-IP professionals, even the non-lawyers, to understand IP, because you're the ones who use the IP. You're the ones who use trade secrets. You leverage them in your business. If you're not, I'll teach you how to do it. Patents, trademarks, trade secrets, copyrights, all of these things, they're valuable assets of the company, but they don't belong left on the shelf. You use them every day when you're negotiating, you're working on agreements, you're leveraging and working with partners and even customers. Intellectual property is really the tracks on what your business runs. It's the foundation of what your company is built on. So today we're talking about trade secrets. Now, trade secrets isn't such an esoteric thing. A lot of people see like it's either a black box or that it's, superficial. They're secrets. You keep them quiet. You don't talk about them. They're your trade secrets. Not true. It's very important to understand trade secrets are legal things. Even though you don't file and register trade secrets with the Trade Secret Office, there is no Trade Secret Office. You file patents in the Patent Office. You file your trademarks in the Trademark Office. The Patent and Trademark Office is together. Copyright is the Copyright Office, right? Or the Library of Congress. Trade secrets are very different. Trade secrets are things you do keep secret, but in order to make this asset protectable, you need to take certain steps to protect your trade secrets. You need to document it and show essentially that your company has this attitude that you protect trade secrets. An attitude that is, you educate your employees, you set up these systems to keep them secret. Obviously locked doors, passwords to your computers, giving access to these secrets only to people who need these secrets. They're not widespread through your company necessarily, right? We'll talk about this. So today's trade secrets. IP asset management. That's really what we're talking about in this whole series of webinars that I'm doing, including this one. And this is the start of one. If you look at innovation in your company, there's this concept of closed and open innovation, right? I like these graphics that I'm showing right now. This is from noted specialists in open and closed innovation, right? What does that mean? So closed innovation is where your company and system are really closed. You don't share on the outside. You keep your secrets inside, and you don't have partnerships necessarily on the outside where you're collaborating and creating valuable secrets and intellectual property. An example of that would be like a defense contractor, companies working for the NSA, where they have to keep it secret and locked down, where all the secrets are on the inside. That's not the reality of companies on the outside. That's not the reality of the companies of today, whether it's tech companies, a chain of gas stations or donut shops. All of these companies have intellectual property. They have trade secrets to start with. Keeping in mind that everything starts as a trade secret, right? when you have patents, trademarks, copyrights, those are things you document and you submit, you file, and you protect, right? You take actions on this. Trade secrets begin right here in your head, in the head of your innovators, marketing, sales, engineers, right? Even, everybody who contributes in your company to make, to further its business, to differentiate your company from other companies. There are trade secrets even in the names of contacts of your customers. And there might even be trade secrets in the preferences of the people inside your customers. They're not just their contact information, but what is it inside the company that really makes them want your product? And if you think about it, you have those things, and you wouldn't want to share them with your competitors because you want to maintain the relationship with your customers, right? So the goal of all of this is to be a sophisticated consumer of IP services, because you can't do this necessarily all by yourself. It requires you to do things, but you want specialists that will help you set these things up. Because if your IP is somehow breached, an employee could leave and take it to a competitor. Someone might hack your system and steal it. Somebody might infringe your patents. They might infringe your copyrights. They might copy your trademarks, right? Or they can steal your trade secrets. And you want to make sure that you've taken steps to do this and you're hiring people to do this. And whether it's through your legal department or if you don't have a legal department, it's you. No one's going to do this for you. Your company has to take these efforts, or even individuals have to take these efforts to protect their IP assets, right? And you want to become a strategic expert in IP development. It sounds like a big title, huge title, right? It sounds like, wow, I need a big background on that. You don't. You just need to be educated so that you can spot the issues and understand what you need in your business. What are your secrets? What are the things that you need to protect? Nobody knows it like you do. You know what you created, or your company and the people working for you. You know what has been created in order to make your product or service better so that your customer buys it from you instead of your competitor. And if you're a first run, new technology, you might have an exclusive monopoly on this thing for a period of time that you need to protect, because only your IP assets give you enable you, give you the power to stop others from using your intellectual property. So you look at open innovation, that makes it really difficult. And most private companies, it makes it very difficult because you're interacting with vendors on the outside, you're interacting with customers, and you might even be talking with competitors necessarily because you might be part of industry groups. You're not an island. You need to produce products with the help of others. That's just today's reality. When you're doing that, you want to protect your trade secrets, right? And there's nothing selfish about it. There's nothing unfriendly about it. You want to protect your trade secrets because that's valuable. And you also want to respect others' trade secrets. And even more so, if you're the kind of company that takes in your customers' trade secrets and cares for them, data storage, data management, data processing, all these different things. If you're producing computer chips according to the formulas and layouts of your customers, they're entrusting you with their trade secrets. Huge responsibility, and you have obligations to these customers to protect their trade secrets, right? So you want to manage you want to audit and understand the structure of your IP portfolio so that if you're even an individual with intellectual property, you know that they're protected. And if you're taking in customers, even as a consultant, you want to make sure that you're taking steps so that you're protecting your trade secrets, your customers' trade secrets, and you're not inadvertently taking other trade secrets. It can happen, right? So stay tuned. We're going to cover these different subjects. So generally, and I talk about this in all other lectures too, there's 3 pillars of sustainable innovation. You want to build a culture of innovation. And this is really relevant for trade secrets because, again, every intellectual property begins with a trade secret. It's an idea. It's a concept. Patents are solutions to problems. when you're devising a problem statement, what does the world need? What is it missing? What are your customers looking for that's not available right now? How are their products not adequate for their uses? The shortcomings. God, I wish my product would do this, your customers say, right? Listen to them, right? Those are trade secrets too. Listen to them. And you work on these things, you mull on these things. This is what you do best as an entrepreneur. You take these problems and you find solutions. The best way to figure out solutions is to adequately, thoroughly, in great detail, define the problem. It's the problem statement. What is really missing out there? What is really the thing that's needed out there that you need to create? And why haven't other people done it, right? What do you need to do to get that done, right? So you want to be able to gather that information. And when you have, when your company becomes more than one person, 2 people, 3 people, 100 people, there are trade secrets being developed. And you want to start very early, set up your structure. Doesn't cost that much, especially if you start early, right? So that later on, you're not out there scrambling, trying to find your trade secrets. What's our secret? What doors do we need to lock? What passwords do we need? Who's going to see our trade secrets internally and externally, right? Very important to understand all of that. You want to make sure you regularly audit the system. And it's quite simple once you set it up. It's just having eyes on it, thinking about it, taking time periodically to think about this and double check things, right? Then you can leverage your company IP for revenue and negotiations. Everything starts as a trade secret. So you want to have a culture of innovation. You want to have the freedom and awareness of IP. Once you have, this iron dome around your company for trade secrets, your employees can freely discuss it. If they're talking with vendors on the outside, right, you'll have this contractual agreement that with, these NDAs, it's really this confidentiality agreement. If you have to trust somebody on the outside with your trade secrets, you want to have contracts. And you can't really have a strong program without awareness of the IP. Because as your company gets bigger, you can't look over everybody's shoulder. You want to have processes in place. That's what NDAs are for. And don't take them for granted. NDAs, people think it's just one of these things they just throw around. Very important that you understand NDAs, and we'll do a separate talk on that. But have all these things in place so you are protecting your intellectual property. So you need the visibility. You have to understand how your company operates and who's using your IP. And you want outside guidance. And you really want to have your employees with a proactive attitude that understand, are aware, and everybody has that attitude of protection and loyalty to the company. So IP is all about protecting valuable ideas. We're talking about trade secrets now, but there's a whole roadmap of things that your company can and probably will embark on. And there's systems for setting these things up, systems for identifying them. They all start with trade secrets. So visibility starts with an audit. If you already have these assets, you want to be aware of them and review them. You could have patents that are covering things that are, either irrelevant or just not as important in your company. And you might not be patenting your most important stuff. Now, trade secrets, before you embark on, filing these things, keeping in mind that patents are published, they're no longer a trade secret once you file for patents. So being aware of trade secrets when you get into this process, talking to attorneys or filing things on your own, realize that these trade secrets that you're protecting under your iron dome are extremely valuable, but they're vulnerable when they go outside. And with patents, they're published. Trademarks, of course, you use them openly, but many times you'll have trademark strategies and things that you want to keep secret, right? Trade secrets. It all starts with trade secrets. Before you embark on these things, be aware of trade secrets so that you can strategically understand how to use these other types of procedures and assets to protect your intellectual property. Eventually, many of these trade secrets they go out there. You sell your product. If it can be reversed engineered, taken apart, they're going to see what you do. Or you might even have things that are patentable that are openly visible when they just use your software product, right? So you want to be able to understand, while these things are secret, what things are going to be revealed eventually. They'll no longer be secrets. So before that happens, you want to be aware and understand patents, trademarks, and copyrights, so that when you see the secret, you're launching your product, like, hey, this is no longer going to be a secret. You want to protect it before you do these kinds of things. And you can't do that unless you're aware of what the trade secrets are. What is a trade secret? So, trade secrets are not just technical innovations. They're not necessarily only inventions. They're not only inventions. In fact, for most companies, if you had a room this size or bigger and your trade secret was a ping pong ball, you could fill it to the ceiling. And you're not going to file patents on all those things, or copyrights, or trades, other types of filings, trademarks, right? Most of them will be kept secret, right? Because many things you can't even get a patent on. It might not be a technical secret. It might not be something copyrightable. It might not be something that's in a trademark, or a trademark or a business strategy, right? So these are trade secrets. You want a trade secret program to protect these things. And being aware that, again, it's not only technical stuff. There are strategies for your roadmap, your future inventions that are not even fully baked yet. You don't want the world to see those either. Those are trade secrets. Now, it's information that is not generally known to the public. It doesn't mean that it only exists on your database or in your company stored somewhere that nobody else can see. Not true at all. There could be information out there that kind of defines your solution and how you put it together, but it's not obvious how to put it together. It's not put together and explained in one place in an article. You may have found, in defining your problem statement, remember the problem statement, right? What's out there? What are we building? What problem does it solve? How does it make a product better? Gives customer what it wants, right? What it's looking for, right? You might have found it out there, and you put these things together and made your product. If it's not generally known to the public to put these things together, it is a trade secret. So when you're embarking on something, you're kind of putting it together, your competitors, right? If your competitors could sniff around and find out what you're doing, or if somebody leaked it out over a glass of wine at a conference with a bunch of technical people, then it's out there, right? So you want to make sure that everyone is aware of the information that they're dealing with, knowing that it's a company trade secret, so that your sales and marketing and other people who might not be acutely aware of intellectual property, they know, hey, don't talk about this. This is our roadmap for our new product. Don't talk about anything, right? And you probably remember back in the day when Apple was revealing these amazing new products, the iPhone, the touchscreen, even going back to the iPod, right? And they would lock down these secrets. And what made it such an incredible reveal, there were no leaks. And nobody does it like they do. TSMC, companies that make computer chips, they produce these computer chips with the intellectual property, the structure and the circuits and things of their customers. Their customers submit this stuff. They submit the information, the software that they upload this information that the chip producer uses to produce their product. So they submit these things, and they produce 1 million chips and deliver the chips for sale by their customer. They are holding their trade secrets quiet, protected, when they're making their product, releasing their product, and they never release the trade secrets. So see, those trade secrets are extremely valuable. Now they're in the hands of an outside vendor. With that vendor, you're going to have contracts, right? There's information that's not generally known to the public. There's also information that is locked down and secret of yours, right? Whatever the secret is, whatever the information is, it needs to have a commercial value because of its secrecy. So that if your secret got out, then your competitors, if they used it, their value would go up and yours would go down because now it's a commodity, right? So commercial value, because it's a secret, nobody can figure out what you're doing on the inside. A good example of this is source code. If you're able to look at your source code and derive the algorithms and different things that make your product work, those are your most valuable trade secrets if you're a software company, right? So when you look at source code, that has all of the secrets, soup to nuts of how your product works. You don't hand over your source code to your customers. You don't hand it over to your partners unless you need to. And if you need to, you must have contracts in place, confidentiality contracts. But for the most part, software companies never share their source code, with the exception of they could store the source code for a third party in case they call it software escrow, right? Where you submit your source code. So if something happens to your company, it burns down or goes out of business, your customers in some agreements can get a hold of your source code and continue using your product. You're out of business anyway. They just want to continue using the product that they already bought. So you're submitting those secrets for storage in some type of escrow for future use by a very limited number of entities that are using your software, for example. So all of that has commercial value because of its secret. Once it's no longer secret, it has no value because everybody has it. So keep in mind, trade secrets, information, technical and non-technical information, things that you want to keep secret, these are the things that you want to protect. So how do you protect trade secrets? So in your company, you have these trade secrets and you have a way of doing business. You have a way of storing information. You may be selling physical products. You may be shipping physical products. These things might embody new things that no one has seen before. Before you ship your product, it's a trade secret. Everything in there is a trade secret. Once you ship your product and your customers get a hold of it, they're not under non-disclosure for the most part. So they're not under an obligation to protect your trade secrets. They just bought your product. If I go to Best Buy or some other company, some other place and buy your retail product, I'm not under an obligation to protect your trade secrets. So if I see a trade secret that's in your product, then everybody else sees it. It's no longer a trade secret, right? But while you're holding your product, you haven't shipped your product, you want to be the first runner. You want to not surprise your customers, have a big release, but you also don't want your competitors to see your innovations, your change, your new cool thing until it's already out in the market. Because if they find out before you ship, they can catch up to you immediately. All those months and years you took to create this thing, they can speedily copy you. So you want to keep everything secret according to how your business runs. You will keep secrets indefinitely. The Coca-Cola formula, your source code, your business secret that keeps you going, right? You'll keep those indefinitely. You could have temporary secrets that when you release your product, they're no longer secret. When you file a patent application, it publishes in 18 months, unless you request that it not get published. So see, it gets kind of complicated, right? When you file for a patent on your invention, the most important question to ask yourself, and your attorneys should be asking you this thing that you want to file for a patent, is it really secret? And once you release the product and it's out in use, can people see your secret? If they cannot see your secret, then you should not be filing a patent because you are releasing the trade secret. You're publishing it. There's no protection once you publish it. No more secret, especially if you deliberately produce it. And filing a patent and letting it publish is a deliberate release of your trade secret. You gave it up, right? But the exchange is that now you have a patent. In fact, patents are quite the opposite. You want the world to see your patents. You want to brag about your patents, right? They're published anyway. You should be bragging about your patents, because bragging also puts the world on notice. Hey, we got patents. You know about them. We have these patents. This is a patented product. And it makes your competitors take pause before they knock you off. Trade secrets are opposite, right? You lock down the trade secrets that are important, and you have to use reasonable efforts to maintain the secrecy. Here's an example. Locked doors. You don't just let anybody in your facility, right? And anyone who has access to your trade secrets has to be under an obligation. This is why HR, listen up, HR has to have these confidential agreements. So the agreements that you want from your employees are, I agree to keep all information, trade secret information, any technical information, secret. I will keep it confidential. Even after I quit and leave, I have an obligation not to disclose this. I can't go to your competitor and share your secrets. That's trade secret theft. So you have these agreements. If you don't have these agreements, it's difficult to go after that employee that goes off and may even inadvertently use your trade secrets, because in their mind, they might think, well, this is just a skill that I learned, right? Skills versus invention. Employees are allowed to take their skills and move on and get another job. So you need to very clearly define, hey, we have trade secrets and we've documented them, right? And we know what our trade secret is, and more importantly, our employees know what our trade secrets are, and they're agreeing, and they're obligating themselves to protect our trade secrets even after they leave. And so it's important to show the world that you have these policies that lock up your trade secrets, lock doors. You have password protection. And as I said earlier, not everybody, even in the company, needs to see the trade secrets. You know, how many people do you think know the Coca-Cola formula? Probably not everybody on the line, not in every Coca-Cola bottling facility across the world, right? They're everywhere. No. Who has the secret? Who has the secret of the people that put together the formula? Maybe it's a vendor that mixes it together. If they do that, they probably do it internally. But I don't know Coca-Cola, just an example. But if they, whoever knows how to order and to mix these things, those are the ones that should know the trade secret. Everybody else doesn't need to know. Even the security guards at the door don't need to know what the trade secrets are. They just need to show, people show passes, pass cards, passwords, lock, keys to the locks, and things like that. So you want to keep it only within the people who understand. For the technical people in software, they need to understand the software algorithms so that they can maintain, build, and improve your product. But not everybody needs to know those algorithms, right? Even marketing or sales. Now, once it's in their hands, and you might even release these trade secrets, some of these trade secrets for your software or your other products, because you need to educate the customer. Why is your product better? What differentiates you? Well, we have this, and you might give them this abstract, Reader's Digest version, I call it, a simple functional understanding of what your thing is, what your product does. But you don't necessarily have to give them the detailed algorithm that executes on your software. You don't need to, if your product, your physical product, is not easily torn apart and observed, you don't have to disclose all of that. But oftentimes in marketing and sales, you have to educate. And keep in mind, when you do that, you're giving away your trade secrets. You're sharing your trade secrets. So you need to be aware of what your trade secrets are. Everyone around you needs to be educated of your attitude on trade secrets, and understand, and the people who understand what the trade secrets are, to understand what they're allowed to release, what level of detail that they want to release. Because once you've released it deliberately, or one of your employees, acting as your agent, right? Selling your products, talking about your products, talking to your customers, talking at at conferences, right? Once they've shared this, your trade secret's gone. Your trade secret's gone and you can't undo it. If someone steals your trade secret, you can go after them. And again, so that's part of the attitude, right? When your trade secrets are stolen, you want to show the world that you go after those trade secrets. You shut them down. You hire lawyers and you sue them. You file for injunctions. You stop the use, right? That's how you protect your trade secrets, right? Now, again, you're integrating this with you want to be okay. Next item is very important, is that you want to verifiably document your trade secrets. And what does that mean? Well, you're not going to do your ocean of trade secrets. It's just not practical. But you want to protect the trade secrets, and enough of them, into enough detail that is reasonable for your company, reasonable in your industry. And software is an easy one for the most part. Algorithms, these things inside your software that really make it tick, that make it work, right? The things that differentiate you, that make your product a super product. You want to protect those things, right? And it's a finite number of things usually. It's not a billion things. It may not be a million things, depending on the size of your company. But there are these key things that you know are different. Sales knows it's different, and they'll understand it based on the output of your product, the use of your product. What is the function that makes your product so valuable? Here's what makes it tick. It's inside. You can protect that. The outside, manifestation of this invention, this trade secret, that's something you share in sales, marketing, to customers, on your website, in your advertising, right? But you want to make sure that you're aware of what those things are and what the boundaries are. And you need to share what those boundaries are and have everybody understand and agree on them. Education is huge here. So understanding what you don't share, very important. Keep it a trade secret. Document it. Timestamp it. How do you do that? Well, in the old days, they had engineering notebooks. You see a lot of those around in the old days, where engineers walk around, they write down their ideas, they draw pictures, they come up with algorithms, they do different things. It's in their book. And periodically, their manager or someone would sign it. So they would witness that, yes, I invented this. Here's the date that I invented it. Here's when I came up with this idea. Any trade secret, doesn't have to be technical. Here's when I came up with the idea. And here's another person who witnessed it and agrees. So if somebody leaves, like if the person who actually wrote it down leaves, he leaves that book with the company. And that's the proof that the company had possession of this trade secret on the date that it was recorded there. So if somebody leaves your company and you know the date when they started, when they left, if there's something that fell during the time that they were there, that they created a trade secret, maybe it became a patent, maybe it was registered for copyright, doesn't matter. When they came up with a trade secret, you own it. You've documented it. And you have a contract with that employee that says, when you create these trade secrets, when you create these innovations, technical, business, or otherwise, you agree to assign it to the company. And one way of assigning it is informing the company of your trade secret, the details, not hoarding it for yourself, right? Getting that information documented and getting it date stamped. And there are many software, it's a modern day now, right? Databases, software, there are systems internally where you can verifiably record things. They have like internal wikis, they have other types of software. Your IT department, if you have that, can help you do that. If you're an individual or a small company, your IT experts, consultants, they can help you set that up. There are also third parties that store information, that give you validated, timestamp, detailed information that you stored as a trade secret. And here's something even simpler. Send yourself an email. Send a colleague an email. Hey, just wanted to document what we came up with today. Boom. Verifiable. You can't undo that email. Store the email in a protected place. Belongs to the company. There's your verification. Costs you nothing. Just a little bit of time, right? So To what level do you protect your trade secrets? What's practical and reasonable. And it's all about managing risk, right? So when we talk about what's practical and manageable, you want to be able to, like, you're not going to spend all of your time protecting your trade secrets. You got to run a business. You got to meet with customers. You got to produce your product. You got to go to conferences. You don't have all the time in the world to agonize over protecting your trade secrets or any other intellectual property. But you want to spend a reasonable amount of resources to protect these things, right? It's about managing risk. Protect your most valuable trade secrets. If you lost them, your product would be a commodity. You'd essentially go out of business because everybody would copy you and would beat you on price, right? Foreign countries, they would just come up with knockoff products, low cost, you're out of business, right? You spent millions of dollars developing something. You spent, this is your life's work. Suddenly it's out there, lost your trade secrets, it's worthless, right? But the risk of trade secret loss is manageable. It's manageable by a reasonable amount and level of documentation, right? So you want to focus, like, what is reasonable? So reasonable is as we talked about, you want to document the trade secrets that are core to you. And it's a finite amount of information. And again, you can go overboard, but you want to at least spend enough time and enough resources to protect your trade secrets that are valuable to your product, right? And your industry can be, the industry that you're in can also be an indicator of what level do you need to protect, right? So, like, for example, software, right? You're going to have manageable, you're going to have a manageable system where you have passwords to get access, and only maybe the coding or the engineering group has access to the source code specifically. And you want to limit the number of people that have access to it that actually need it. If others are accessing it or they get access that don't need it, there's your risk of leaking it. And the biggest risk comes when they don't understand it. For example, the source code, product developers, people who are putting the product together, even if it's a physical product, they know the technology and they know what's important and they know how to keep it secret. Someone that's not in the engineering group, for example, when it comes to technical inventions, they might not understand or appreciate that something actually is a secret, right? They've been bragging about it internally. Wow, this is awesome. We're so awesome. Then they go out for drinks with their friends. They say, oh my God, our stuff is awesome. This is why it does what it does. And they explain the trade secret. There's this kind of running joke in Silicon Valley that no trade secret ever survives a second glass of wine, right? And that may be true, but you don't want your trade secret to leak out. You want it to survive that second glass of wine. And the only way to do it is to educate everybody internally. What are our trade secrets? Why are they important? And what are we protecting? How are we protecting them? And once you educate them, your risk of loss is manageable. It's manageable. What does it cost? It's practically free. I mean, the things I talked about, you should talk to professionals setting them up. I set these up all the time. And it's really just this initial consultation, maybe a little bit of oversight. And once it's set up in the company, it runs itself. You use it. You use the storage. As long as you use it and you store your information, you lock your doors, you consistently require passwords and lock, keys to get indoors. You consistently use these things to protect your trade secrets, and it takes care of itself. Of course, the next step is, filing patents, copyrights, and other things. That's another talk, another lecture. But before you even embark on those things, you need to lock down your trade secrets. Now, the cost, again, is practically free. It takes time. It's not cost free. It takes your time, and time is money for a company. But the cost of the loss of a trade secret could be catastrophic. So there are certain trade secrets that you cannot afford to lose, and you can't afford not to protect them. And with the modest investment, education, time for protecting your trade secrets, it's worth it. So if you ever have to go to a judge, and this is important, this is what trade secrets are all about. If you have some type of leak or loss of trade secrets, you need to convince a judge at some point, hey, Your Honor, we protect our trade secrets. We own these things, right? We go through diligent efforts. We require NDAs everywhere. We require confidential agreements of anyone who's on the outside seeing or having access to our trade secrets. We have contractual obligations from all of our employees that they must keep everything confidential. We lock our doors. We use passwords. If you are loose in any one of those mechanisms for protecting your trade secrets, a judge is not going to be sympathetic to you, and it becomes a very human process at that point. It's like, look, you were out there talking about your product before you launched it. You're bragging about it. I don't see that you even have NDAs with this person who you say stole it. Why are you coming to me, a judge, to help you recapture your trade secrets, shut them down, when you didn't treat your trade secrets as trade secrets? You didn't act reasonably. You need to go there with a story that you've acted reasonably, of course, you did all these things, and that your company has a strong attitude about protection. We file for patents, we protect our copyrights, we file for trademarks, we lock down our trade secrets, and we lock them down with vigor, and we have processes that keep them internal, keep them from getting outside. And we educate everyone in the company. New people get educated. Older people get re-educated, right? It is our fierce policy to protect our trade secrets. A judge would be compelled to have to help you protect those things. And that's really what you're looking at. You want to have the attitude, and you want to be proactive at protecting your trade secrets. Lastly, it's all about your people. Inclusion, diversity, everybody gets involved, right? Anybody can be an innovator. Anybody can come up with ideas that differentiate your product or your services or your company's even outside public image. Everybody can contribute to that. Those things involve trade secrets. So when you're educating and you're hiring employees, right, you want to reward them. You want to reward them in different ways, even if it's things like swag, hats, shirts, jackets, right? Make them feel like they're part of something. Make them feel like, hey, I'm loyal to this company and I want to protect the trade secrets. If I invent something and it's something that's valuable to the product, I'm going to submit it and detail it, share the information. Now the company owns it because I'm an employee and that's what they're paying me for, right? And you might even give, personal kudos to people. You might even give them monetary awards for things, even recording trade secrets. So keep it in mind that when you want loyalty from your people, this is a great way to do it. Also, what's very important is this is a management tool. So imagine intellectual property, including trade secrets, patents, trademarks, copyrights. All of these things are valuable to a company. For the individuals that create these things, individuals create these things. Remember that, artificial intelligence, chat GTP, none of that stuff is protectable because a human being didn't create those things. But for the things that are created internally, when you hire smart people to solve your problems, to define your problem statement, to solve all those problems and make awesome products and features, those are the things that they contribute to the company. And what's really interesting about it is that these things, it's the only thing where you have a government entity that certifies that this person or group of people, they created something that was never created before. They did something that was never done before. They contributed something to the world. This is their fingerprint of intellectual property. There is nothing more fulfilling than creating or doing something that's never been done before. This management tool, giving people kudos, giving them rewards, just recognizing their contribution with a certification of a copyright, a patent, or even even a trademark that they help create, logo, right? Those things are incredible management tools for motivating people. But it all starts with trade secrets, setting up your trade secret program. Keep in mind. Get back to me with any questions. Thank you for attending this. I've really enjoyed doing it. Happy to answer any questions for free, no charge. My email is available. And if you want to get the slide deck, you've seen it here, but I'm happy to send it out if you contact me. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for coming to Innovator Cafe.
You've been tuning into Innovator Cafe, the entrepreneur go-to, with your host, attorney Dave Stevens. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the website, stevenslawgroup.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.